the MacVoices update for April 2024. This is MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. This is the April 2024 MacVoices update, where I tell you what's been going on with MacVoices and what's coming up with MacVoices, or at least what I can tell you. How was your April? Mine was crazy. I feel like my schedule was completely disrupted, both by a trip to NAB, which was absolutely a blast, and we'll talk more about that in a minute, but also by a couple work conferences, which were equally great, but it just kind of wiped out my entire schedule. So that also resulted in MacVoices Live being dark for 2 different weeks in a row, and I'm really sorry about that. We are back on schedule now, so Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, whatever time that is, wherever you are, at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. We'll be back in action with the panel, talking about what's new and what's exciting. We'd love to have you join us in the chat room. Regarding the NAB interviews, things are a little bit slow this time, both from an editing standpoint, but also because there have been a number of other things come out that have been rather timely that I wanted to get out and move ahead of those. And the thing about NAB interviews, just like CES interviews, everybody's clamoring to get out there and get their news out, and that's great, but it kind of gets things lost in the mix. And so I'm taking, again, this with the NAB this year, a little more of a measured approach, trying to stretch the interviews out and release them in a more controlled fashion, rather than just having a frantic, let's get it all done as quickly as possible. So if you are looking for more NAB interviews, you will have them. It's just going to take a little while because, again, there's some other things that slid into priority. Didn't help the fact that there was one less day this month, which doesn't seem like much, but somehow it does make a difference, because I suddenly woke up and realized that, hey, today's the last day of April, I better do an update. So there you go. Also wanted to mention a little something about social media, and I've talked a little bit about this before. I do my best to be on every social media platform, major and some of the minor ones too. But the reality is that some of those I use just for communicating out with you. Now, if you respond on one of those that I don't check frequently, yeah, when I go back, I will respond. But my primary ones right now are still Twitter/X, Mastodon, with threads coming up very quickly. So if you're looking for updates on MacVoices, and especially things like the dark notices for MacVoices Live, those are the main 3 that you want to pay attention to, because that's where I'm going to be communicating, because it's easiest to get that information out and reaches the most people. That said, though, please be sure to check me out on whatever social media platform that you prefer, as @ChuckJoyner. On Facebook and on X, I also have an @MacVoices account that I use, but it was just not realistic to have an @MacVoices on everything. That just tripled the work. So that's where you will find me. I'd love to hear from you. And of course, you're always welcome to email me at chuck@macvoices.com with suggestions, comments, thoughts, whatever. I do also try to look at the comments on YouTube. Although the comments on YouTube are kind of unusual, because I get comments that are months old, sometimes literally years old, asking a question about a product or making either a positive comment or a lot of times a negative comment, because it seems to be YouTube. So I try to keep up with that. I don't always do as good a job as maybe I could. But again, the best way to reach me are on those other 3 social platforms or just directly by email. And by the way, while I'm here, if you're asking a question about the product, keep in mind, I'm just the guy holding the microphone interviewing those folks. So most likely, they're not going to get a notification of your comment, and therefore they are not going to respond. If I see it, I try to forward it on to the vendor. There's no guarantee that they will come back, especially if the question is hostile, shall we say. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at that. I'm the only one that gets the notifications from those interviews. A couple other things coming up. I'm hoping to land the plane on in May, and I'm really anxious to have what I have in mind happen. But the bread has to bake before you pull it out of the oven. So it's getting closer. It's been fits and starts. Sometimes it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Sometimes it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But there is a change to MacVoices coming, and that's kind of exciting. From a production standpoint, there are also a couple other things that you may notice as MacVoices evolves a little bit more again. I'm not going to detail those now because we're going to see if they work out. But if you start to notice a little bit different look for MacVoices and all, just be aware that I'm still working on in the background, trying to deliver a better product for you, no matter whether it's the panel interviews or the individual interviews. Just always trying to improve things just a little bit. With that, I think we're up to the support report. So yeah, the support report, what can I tell you? You guys are the ones that keep things going. The drought for advertisers continues. There are a couple that have come on board, which I'm deeply grateful for. And I would encourage you to please check out their products. Whether their products are for you or not is up to you and between you and them. But if you can click through the link and at least let them know that you got there via MacVoices, it greatly, greatly helps me. Because the bills keep coming in whether the advertisers do or not. And so that's why I'm really looking to you as the Patreon supporters to help me keep the boat afloat and, again, keep on improving things. So with that, this month's support report includes no one at Platinum this month, but at Gold we had Web B, Jason C, Sando C, David G, Robert G, Tim G, Marty J, Frank P, and RVS. At Silver, we had Andrea S, Baz, Craig A, Eric B, Eric C, Brett C, Bruce E, John E, Barry M, Chuck P, and Daniel S. At Bronze, we had Max C, Brian F, Craig A, Craig H, Clinton M, John M, Patrick N, and Prop P. I know I say it every month, but it applies every single month. Thank you so much to our Patreon supporters. You really are the bedrock of support. You're the bedrock of keeping MacVoices going and allowing me to do some of the improvements and bring you some of the things that I try to bring you. The whole objective here is to try to give you information that you can use in an informative and entertaining way, and also to make you think about some of the tech issues of the day. And that's what we do with MacVoices Live, is try to give you some often contrary, conflicting opinions on things, and still have a friendly environment where sometimes we just agree to disagree. But the point is that the patrons are the ones that really do help keep it going. So thank you so much for sticking with us, whether you've been here for 1 month or several years. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. That's a wrap for this time. I'm Chuck Joyner. I'll be back with the May 2024 update at the end of May. Meanwhile, there's a lot of stuff going on in between. I also, to wrap this up, I want to make sure I remind you, Macstock Conference and Expo is coming up in July at MacstockConferenceandExpo.com. I'll be there. Pretty much everybody on the MacVoices Live panel will be there as of now, and there are going to be a lot more of our friends there. We want you there as well. So please, Macstock Conference and Expo, go check it out, sign up, join us. This year, Mike Potter has arranged to have all the sessions in the same hotel, so there will be no traveling. If you don't want to have a car, don't have a car, and don't want to wonder how you're going to get to wherever, it's not a problem. This time, you're just going to be able to walk downstairs and go right to the conference. So, MacstockConferenceandExpo.com. I hope to see you there. That's in July, but there's a lot of more going on in between. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.